Consumers are able to choose their experience, even drilling down to the actual chemistry in the product to get the best recommendation on shelves. We incentivize returning users to leave reviews and track their experiences, which improve their recommendations on an individual basis, earning rewards and loyalty along the way. Terply becomes your personal bud tender, offering a plethora of benefits for both retailers and consumers alike. For retailers, we impact both top and bottom line with a specific focus on customer retention. This increased engagement is derived from the primary consumer benefit of their personalized shopping experience and the follow-on marketing and engagement. And the space here as well is very fragmented. Existing platforms like Dutchie, Ease, and Weedmaps are e-commerce platforms, not solutions, but even still offer minimal support to navigate the hundreds of products available for consumers online. Other e-commerce solutions exist like Feed, Forage, and StrainBrain, but they lack meaningful recommendations for the individual consumer. But none of them learn and improve with the end consumer like Terply does, and tailors that to support dispensaries for better marketing and operational decisions. And this space is also rapidly growing. Taking a bottom-up approach using license information from MJBD's fact book, we foresee nearly $1 billion as a total addressable market, 400 million when you take the key states that we're targeting here, with almost $1 million currently in Terply's funnel by running our prospects through our pricing model, which is a fixed monthly SaaS-based fee of $3.99 per month per retail location, with a suite of additional features covering marketing and other data insights that we provide. And so far, the traction has been thrilling. We launched just last month with our first client and have since onboarded 3 other dispensaries with 60 more locations in contract talks with over 1,000 products that have been recommended so far. And the feedback from our retailers has been incredibly positive to date. So at this point, we've covered how we make money, how we make dispensaries money, but for investors, how do we make you money? Step 1 is laying out our path to profitability. Our plan is to target retailers in key states to facilitate a robust online market. Then we go to market by compelling early participants with free pilots and establish our key partnerships. Alpine IQ for loyalty integrations, as well as the Bud Tender Association of Canada for verified bud tender reviews. There we refine our product by generating case studies to measure our value to the market and outlining premium features based on customer feedback. And finally, we scale. With demonstrable value, we plan to target larger retail chains and MSOs and roll out these premium features. Step 2 is raising our $1.5 million seed round to support this growth, which we'll use to expand for additional marketing and engineering support, taking our team full-time and managing our go-to-market expenditures. With this, we expect to reach profitability between years 2 and 3, while supporting a strong CAC to LTV ratio. And the final step here is providing our investors with sound opportunities for ROI, positioning Terply with multiple opportunities for potential acquisitions, future dividends, share buybacks, as well as exclusive database access to augment their portfolio. Terply and the value we bring is going to exist. Whether it's us or somebody else, the window of opportunity is open, but it won't be for long. And we invite you to join us to make Terply everybody's bud tender. Thank you.
All right. I am giving him bonus points for being right about at 5 minutes there. I will tell you that. Peter, if you don't mind to stop sharing your screen, and judges, I guess I will kind of coordinate this so we're not talking over each other. Start with you, Tahira. Do you have any questions that you'd like to ask?
I don't have any at this time. I'm actually still just, I'm doing some additional Googling, and we'll come back around.
Jean?
Yes, hi. Hi, Peter. We've met before. Peter, you did a great job with that presentation, and I believe in what you're doing. But this is the Holy Grail. Help me get comfortable that people can actually use this, will use this, want this, that the retailers are going to pay that kind of amount. There's a lot of clutter coming at them. So help me get really comfortable that this can take off, because as I said, I believe in it, but I have a hard time believing people will really engage and do what they need to do to use the platform properly.
The biggest thing has been evaluating and really understanding how e-commerce industries and other e-commerce industries have evolved and matured. We've analyzed a ton of different ones, from music to CPG, and really understood what tools are available there, trying to extrapolate for how the cannabis industry will continue to evolve and offer a similar suite of products and offerings to them. We are very much emulating what other industries have done well to bring those best practices into cannabis, as it is following a similar suit for this. So while it seems nascent for cannabis now, it is following a similar pathway that many other industries have followed.
Well, one quick follow-up. Did you say, I know you just really got going in the market, what kind of revenues might you do by fiscal year end 22, the end of this year?
So by the end of this year, we're expecting to roll in probably around $30,000 from our various clients as we start to scale up our operations. Our goal right now is to hit 10 different retail locations by the end of June and continue to hit it about 50 by the end of the year, back in December as well.
Thank you.
Scott?
So Peter, great job. You clearly have prepared, and you have a great pitch, and you're on point. Very good. I love data, and you're collecting it, so that's good. Question is scale. And a lot of, as Gene said, these dispensaries are inundated with, software ideas. They have their point of sale, they have metric, they have so-and-so, Alpine IQ, which is great program. How do you get through that and get enough dispensaries? That's part one. The second part is, how many dispensaries do you need before you can achieve something close to profitability?
So to handle your first question, we've designed Interply specifically to play well with others. By doing a lot of market research with retailers, we found that they simply have too many things on their hands to deal with. Different POS systems, different other kinds of solutions that are out there. We want this to play well with all of it. Meaning, if someone signs into Alpine IQ, they sign into Interply. If whatever system they may have, Dutchie, iHeartJane, Leafly, Weedmaps, we can pair with that, and it pairs seamlessly with it as well. We want this tool to work marry well with everything else that's out there currently. And so as of right now, in regards to your second question, for us to reach that level of profitability, we need about 130 different retail clients to do that. For us to get to that point, we're going to need this about $1.5 million, which actually will take us to that profitability level. Ideally, we don't have to raise again. And this then sets us up for a perfect opportunity for an acquisition from a traditional or a non-traditional company as well.
Thank you.
Brett?
Yeah, great job, Peter. Really, really well done. I'm also, I think like Scott, data wins, but I think data is, a very big obtuse word that's thrown around cannabis, and everyone is in data, but really no one's really in it. A lot of people are on data, and I really think what Gene said, I kind of like to draft on is that it's when you started the pitch, I really believed it was like almost going after a community and being consumer focused. I thought that's where it was going. Then kind of it not turned, but you pushed us to the dispensary, and it's very challenging. And I think everyone on the phone knows we've been seeing deals to get those dispensary owners to yes, and a lot of times good is good enough, and they have or think they might have what you have. So how, give me kind of the sales cycle and the offering of what you would say to the dispensary, why they should have it, and let alone that, the kind of the bartender is your consumer. I mean, your customer. He or she is that retail experience person for your platform. So tell me why they would want to use it, and what would be their advantage to use it when they are selling mostly everything on the shelves anyway.
Well, I feel like a lot of dispensaries, at least in certain bigger markets, aren't selling everything. It's very much the 80-20 rule, where 80% of sales come from those 20%. So this actually provides greater shelf visibility, helping to provide more opportunities to push those other products off of shelves for it. But if I'm understanding correctly, what's really the return or benefit to the retailer? Like, why would they purchase this service? So we've done a lot of analysis over this. The biggest indirect impact is call center demand. If you don't need budtenders answering phones or helping with live chat feeds, we immediately cut down on the amount that they need to have to staff on a monthly basis right there. That's immediate cost savings, including the training for doing that too. Looking at the best practices for e-commerce industries, you see how these static or interactive content can increase conversions by up to 2 times as static content does right now. So leading into those other industries or pulling them in, these conversions have an actual impact on the on the top line for revenue. And then the follow-on engagement, customer retention is such a problem point for so many dispensaries, and the ability just to get one to come back in a month can dramatically improve profitability month over month too. So really nailing down those points and measuring that value to communicate exactly what a retailer gets and the benefit they receive from Turquoise.
Thanks.
Kira, did you have any more questions?
I guess so. This, and apologies for not being ready at the very beginning. I'm just trying to piece together. I think you had a slide in there that's like where it had Jane and all of the other tools that are out there. If you could just summarize like Turpley's primary competitive advantage versus the various platforms that are there, because they feel like they're various pieces that are there. And I just want to, how would you best define that?
Yeah, so you have Dutchie, Weedmaps, Ease, like all those are the platforms themselves. Consumers are going there organically. And this actually was a strategy that Gene gave to me during a previous pitch competition of hook on to a bigger player and just go where people are organically going, which helped us craft this whole solution for, excuse me, the e-commerce plugin for it. So we're not competitors with them, only there because they are relevant players and different platforms for people to use. But the main competitors are Heed, Forage, and Strainbrain, the actual e-commerce solutions that play on top of those different platforms. And our biggest differentiator is that we actually grow with the consumer. If you, Tahira, leave a review, we learn about your preferences and can better recommend you products based off of how you've engaged with it. Nobody else is able to do that right now.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Of course.
Great. Well, Peter, thank you very much and best of luck to you. Thank you for your presenting. I'm going to kick you back into the green room now.
Thanks so much, guys.
Our next presenter will be Eunice from HiVi. Eunice, let's get you on camera here and welcome to the show. You should have co-host presenting capabilities if you need to share your screen.
Oh, possible to give me co-host capabilities one more time? There we go.
First competition, she's already getting promoted.
1 second here. Let me just get this up and running. Can everyone see my screen? Great. Perfect. Hi, I'm Eunice Kim, and I'm the founder of HiVi, the cannabis destination for non-stoners. We're all industry insiders here, so I'll be candid. We know the industry is going to be massive, but the industry is challenged because both the retail and consumer growth are not scaling at the volume and velocity that was originally projected. Direct-to-consumer players are reacting by becoming hyper-focused on the current consumer, which is a predominantly male daily stoner looking to get as high as possible as cheaply as they can. This is causing a waterfall effect throughout the industry where everyone has to play the potency for price game, and it's a race to the bottom. As a female, woman of color founder in this industry, I see things very differently. After listening to consumers and their pain points for the last 5 years, I see massive opportunity in the emerging consumer just below the surface. This is the lifestyle, wellness conscious, and high functioning consumer, especially women who are willing to pay more for trust, quality, and experience. Not only am I, my friends, and my community of 20,000 users that consumer, but latest reports show that women, millennials, and Gen Z are the fastest growing, highest spending consumers in the industry. I mean, last week, celebrity Elizabeth Olsen told Vanity Fair that she is a cannabis beginner who smokes before bed. And also, as we come out of the pandemic, the timing couldn't be better. Millennials and Gen Z are more motivated than ever to take care of their health, and from physical, social, to mental health. Statistically, they're also willing to spend more than $500 a month, which is double what boomers spend on self-care. Pair that notion with the fact that cannabis has myriad therapeutic properties. Now we just need to connect the dots between consumer and plant. My co-founder, Long, and I are taking our marketing and technology expertise to make that happen. Not only are we both millennials who get it, but if we've learned anything from our previous posts at Vogue, Here Now, Transfix, and Guild Group, it's that for millennials and Gen Z, you need to build community first, and you need to have a sleek and seamlessly digitally native experience. And just like major cult brands like Glossier and Peloton have done, we're presenting the story of why cannabis for you through education, community, and experiences, so that all the consumer needs to do is step into it. We go to where they are on social media with content. We bring cannabis to parties that they're already attending, and we create pop-ups to align with their values and their interests. And once they're in, they're ready to support, even evangelize. Long has custom built our digital platform as an end-to-end service for the user. The concierge quiz automatically matches the right cannabis product for each specific user and goals. From there, it's one click to be able to order those products for delivery, and we stay non-plant touching by working with licensees for that last mile. And to keep it sticky for them, their dashboard comes fully baked with tools to continue that personalized guidance. It's easy and polished for the user. And for us, this is the data that we're harnessing for bigger opportunities in the future, be it our own line of personalized cannabis products or an immensely valuable database of customer product knowledge. This very detailed slide digs into all of the data points that we actually take into account to make each match, AKA this isn't a Google form quiz that you can build in a few minutes. Here's also a quick snapshot of even how with just an MVP, we're drastically different in experience, look, and feel. And brands get it. Our waitlist is already over 250 brands who are willing to use their marketing budgets with us. I'm focused on top tier quality brands as well as equitable ones. So more than 80% of our brand portfolio are women, POC, and queer owned. They need a platform like ours and the community that we've cultivated to survive. We've been building this community since the pandemic and now have over 20,000 users, mainly women, growing 10% month over month through straight word of mouth. The pop-up events we've tested for proof of concept shows that their loyalty converts to sales. Our average cart size is $140. That's 130% larger than the average cart size at Ease. Our 420 wasn't a smoke sesh or an industry gathering. We partnered with a major fashion retailer and hosted a star-studded event for 1,000 millennials and Gen Z, where Kate Trinata and Weekend were smoking a Golden State joints and Sini Hayes was checking out Loon. Our pop-up over the holidays generated $50,000 in a week from branded content sponsorships and retail sales. As a woman of color, building a mission-driven and experience-focused company, I see so much opportunity to make impact in this industry. And being a part of this year's Ease Momentum Accelerator further underscores that mission. We see non-plant touching businesses scale and go public if done right, and that's by leveraging education, content, and making it accessible. Now it's just time to do it for the emerging consumer and for women in a way that actually resonates with them. We're looking at 3 main revenue streams right now, and we're testing at each lane. We anticipate getting to $1 million in revenue within our first year. We're raising $1 million to build our core founding team, and so that we're able to accelerate what Long and I are both doing and shoot out the gate strong. So I invite you to join us as we focus on the future, not the present. Thank you.
Much, Eunice, that was amazing. Let's switch up the orders here. I'm going to give Tahira some time to Google. Kidding.
I know this one.
Why don't you go first?
Who'd you call on?
Brett Finkelstein.
Oh, that was great, Eunice. Thanks. Thanks, Todd. So is it going to be consumer facing? The offer to the yes?
Yes, we're a DTC consumer facing platform.
So, but you're gonna partner with last mile delivery or other apps to really grab the basket. So how is that going to work as far as, the revenue split, and how are you kind of, playing nice in the sandbox with the Ease, the Bass Stores, the Gingers, the Amuse, and all the other players out there that are doing the same kind of thing in the delivery business?
Yeah, I think that our community is unique to us. We specifically focus on emerging consumer, mainly wellness seekers and women. We work with licensees. I already have a distribution company and delivery service on our in partnership, and we work with them as if we would any other vendor, where they charge a fee for that last mile service. And in that way, by staying non-plant touching, we're able to actually turn on delivery in multiple states. As first, obviously, California, because it is where we have a large market, but we're able to partner with other licensees across the nation and be able to turn on the same high-buy delivery experience.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Tahira?
Did you say Tahira?
Sorry, yeah, Tahira's next. I'm going to start adding last names, I guess.
Tahira should be pretty straightforward. Eunice, thanks so much. wanted to, I know we didn't get to touch on it. You showed it in the slides, the revenue models and the 3 areas. Where are you today as far as like executing against the 3 of those? And what do you see as like the biggest driver of that over time? Just kind of want to get a snapshot of like today versus where you're going over the next 12 months.
Yeah, certainly. Right now, we're generating about 10K month over month through branded content partnerships. When we do pop-ups 3 times a year, those generate 50K in revenue from those relationships. We see our main driver being the DTC portion because we're planning on building a really huge consumer base, starting at not at 0, but at 20,000 users. And as we scale and grow into multiple states, we'll be able to grow our consumer base out. We have had interest, and this is, I think, in support of Peter and what he's building. We've had interest from dispensaries reaching out to us about our concierge, and we see opportunity there as well.
Okay, you just answered my follow-on question on if there's an opportunity to partner with the actual retailers versus, online. And I think the other piece of it, just a quick add there, what about states that don't necessarily have delivery or like areas that don't? What is the focus, or is that just not a focus area until they have like that opportunity?
Yeah, our focus right now is primarily on adult use states that have licensing and that have business running. We still can foster community nationwide as we have been for the past 2 years to maintain education and access to community and do all of that. Because eventually as states legalize, it's important to have community waiting ready to go.
Thank you.
I don't know if we're frozen or what, so I'll speak up.
I'm here.
Eunice, you are well-spoken and have a great story for this company, but we're investors. Tara had to draw it out of you. Brett had to draw it out of you. How are we making money? So I know that that's not the world, let's say, that you've lived in, but you need to live in it. And tell us earlier in the pitch, hey, here's how we're going to produce. Here are the business models. You did show that slide, and Tahira pressed on that fact, but you have to share that knowledge with us. So even trying to extend the questions about the business model, where might you be, let's say by year end this year, or let's say in another year after you get that $1 million? What does the top line look like?
Sure. Within the first year, we anticipate hitting $1 million in revenue. And that's a great point where I will pull the numbers up to the front and speak to that sooner.
Yeah, especially with the group of hungry investors looking for good companies. And then that $1 million, again, as you just explained, would the D2C world be your best business driver?
Yes, because of the community of consumers that we have.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Scott?
Great job, Eunice. The deck is very well designed, and I like the female focus. It's very strong, and my question is along the same lines as the others. Is that you say $140 basket size? How do you get that to scale across a number of many more users, and how does that lead to profitability for you?
Yeah, I think it's definitely about growing community and in deepening their engagement with them in ways that millennials and Gen Z want to be entertained, right? So, programming, content, events are all part of the plan to keep them engaged with us, along with the suite of tech products, including the journal or the one-on-one consults within their user dashboard. For us, it's about keeping exclusivity too. I've been speaking to brands about exclusive SKUs or special collab SKUs so that they keep shopping with us versus others.
Do you have an approximate user acquisition cost and or a lifetime value for each user?
I will get back to you on that one because currently it's at 0, but I understand with scaling, we need to
Just
start.
You could guess for the future what it might be, but we can. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was amazing. I hope the feedback was good. I am going to kick you out for now. Best of luck to you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, everyone.
Of course. Our next presenter is Nathan from Maison Bloom. Nathan, if you can join us on the webinar stage.
You are very quiet, Mr. CannabisLAB.
Am I? Let me adjust the microphone here.
Something's off.
Can you guys hear me better now?
A little better.
Yes.
Could be better.
Okay, over to me.
All you, take it
Everybody hear me
away.
okay? See my screen? All right. Well, hi, everybody. My name is Nathan Johnson. I'm the CEO of Maison Bloom. Thank you for allowing me to join you today, and I'm excited to share more about the company and how we're actively changing and growing the cannabis beverage landscape. Maison Bloom creates perfectly dosed cannabis-infused beverages that taste great, resonate with the mainstream consumer, and unlock the potential of this approachable and high-growth category. In 2021, millennials and zennials consumed over 300 billion recreational beverages and continue to move away from alcohol consumption at staggering rates. Meanwhile, the cannabis beverage company, attractive to many curious and everyday cannabis consumers, stagnated in copycat strategies by using cannabis mainly to fortify drinks. Well, Maison Bloom has changed all of that. Instead of treating cannabis as a one-for-one alcohol replacement or addition to a beverage, we use cannabis as a true culinary ingredient and we build the recipe around it. This delivers a family of complementary products that are great tasting, proprietary, and easily expandable into additional markets and collaborations. Additionally, our operating structure breaks the traditional cannabis beverage model, creates multiple revenue streams for the company, and turns historic loss-leading markets into profit-generating markets. We are targeting a Q3 2022 launch with our elevated seltzers, which are sold as 4-packs of single-serve 11-ounce glass bottles containing 3 milligrams THC each. By leading with our seltzers, we are introducing a product that is familiar to the market and allows ample time to build consumer trust and brand awareness ahead of our second and third product family offerings. The current legal U.S. cannabis market is expected to exceed $23 billion in sales by 2022, with beverage remaining the fastest growing category in the industry. Cannabis beverage sales rose more than 140% from 2019 to 2020, and the category is estimated to exceed $1 billion in sales by the end of 2022, reaching a projected TAM of $2 billion by 2025. Maison Bloom is starting in California and quickly expanding into additional markets while forecasting more than 16 million units sold over the course of 5 years. We build our products around solid economics, with our seltzers launching at 30% plus gross margins from day one. Maison Bloom's forecasted annual revenue is projected to exceed $50 million by 2026, with an average profit reaching $2.40 per unit. We believe revenue could easily exceed $100 million within 5 years. However, we feel it is important to keep forecasts conservative and aligned with the current recreational market landscape. Maison Bloom is the second venture between company co-founders, myself and Jake Wall, after a successful exit from luxury fashion in 2018. We have brought together a team that combines 15 plus years of direct and adjacent industry experience. And together, our team shines through many core competencies across operations, branding and marketing, and is set to leverage its expertise and bathroom to boardroom approach to drive explosive adoption and become a dominant player in cannabis beverage. In addition to the team, we have a strong and active team of advisors that further amplifies our core competencies. These experienced and veteran advisors come from leading cannabis and mainstream companies, including Wild, Plus, Khalifa Kush, Bacardi, Arcview, and the LA Rams. The California cannabis beverage marketplace has already been proven by the likes of Cann and Keith, but still lacks a clear market leader for the premium consumer. Maison Bloom's flavor-first, all-natural ingredient and complementary product families position the company as the go-to cannabis beverage company for these high LTV consumers. We've assembled leading partners to ensure professional production and distribution of our products. These relationships are unique to Maison Bloom and the industry and allow us to be low cost, highly adaptable, and efficient end-to-end operators. Additionally, we will utilize Glassdoor to reach 75% of the California market for our direct-to-consumer sales. We have worked diligently over the last 2 years to build the product and the brands that you see today. We have served more than 3,000 consumers across 4 states and amassed a following of more than 11,000 organic subscribers. We are currently in product development with Khalifa Kush, and our innovative approach to online sales has already garnered reservations for approximately 30% of our initial production run. In addition, we have developed specific sales strategies for brick and mortar and online sales channels and are in active PO conversations with several retail and consumption lounge outlets. Through our unique supply and manufacturing partnerships, Maison Bloom has been able to significantly remove high-cost barriers of entry and reduce manufacturing costs by more than 40%. We've developed the industry's first ever single-strain, single-barrel cannabis beverage, and will be able to generate revenue within 3 months of investment through a handful of tactical go-to-market steps that we can execute immediately. Through these steps, we are forecasting $1 million in sales within 10 months of operations, and product on retail shelves, and just shy of $2 million in revenue within 12 months. Until now, the company has been bootstrapped and taken no outside investments. We've recently opened our seed round of 2.5 million as a SAFE to initiate production of our first batch and get our seltzers on retail and online shelves. Funds from this round provide the company with the necessary capital to order materials and packaging for production, hire the required resources and talent, and launch our DTC sales channels and key marketing strategies. So with that said, we know the cannabis beverage industry is here to stay, and so is Maison Bloom. We are raising the bar with our craveable products, experienced team, and in-house advantages. The engine is primed, and we want your help to turn it on and become a household name in cannabis beverage. Thank you for your time.
Nathan, thank you so much. That was amazing. And I am a huge beverage fan. I needed something else that, you know, sneaks up on me the way edibles do, but a little bit quicker. So thank you for that presentation. Let's send it over to the judges. Gene, let's let you go first this time.
Hi, thank you. Hi, Nathan. I know
Hi.
you and Jake, you guys have been kind to me, sending me product. I've heard you pitch before. I think the packaging is just beautiful. And we talked about formulation, and I know you've stepped up the formulation, right? You're on another
Correct.
iteration of it. So it's
That's right.
quite delicious. I know a lot of my women friends love it, and a few good men. Now, I noticed in this chart, you do emphasize, and today you emphasize the consumption lounges, because that's been my big thing. Look, those big, heavy bottles, good luck, you know, with that. It's hard to distribute, it's expensive. But I really believe you could really further yourself through your consumption lounge strategy, even though you mentioned it briefly. What is that strategy? Because I think that's how you can win.
So, you know, the basics behind that, and number one, you are absolutely 100% correct, Gene. Number two, the consumption lounges are going to be a big outlet for us. Right now, I'm going to use the Oak Impact Group up in Oakland, California as the example. You know, we were able to connect with a buyer at a Sonoma Hills farm activation about a month ago, and they've built their entire dispensary around a beverage bar. They want all of our SKUs, both the seltzers and the Olympics. They really see this as an outlet, beverages being kind of the catalyst for ingestibles moving forward in a way that bars are in the alc bev space, where you can socialize, you can take your time, you can consume at your leisure, and it's not as impactful on those around you like a vaping or a smoking flower is.
Very good answer. Thank you for that. And one follow-up. What's your New York strategy?
So I alluded in the pitch to our secondary markets. Right now, we are actually eyeing Massachusetts. That's to get us up close and personal with New York. Obviously, it takes time to develop those relationships, and that is something that's on our radar and we're actively doing now.
Thank you.
Very cool. Scott, you're next.
Great job, Nathan. I agree. I like the bottle a lot. Very cool. So how have you done market testing? And Gene mentioned you reformulated a little bit. Like, how did that process play out, and what made you change it to where it is now?
A great question. So we use a human-centered design approach. So when we first started way back when, about 2.5 years ago, we started with about 250 respondents in our direct and extended individual network. So this is not something that myself and the co-founder Jake did behind closed doors. We started with initial iterations. There were 36 total SKUs that we were playing with. We refined that down to about 8. And then through the matter of several different iterations, we actually refined those to the 4 that we're moving forward in the marketplace today. We also, similar to the events that Eunice showed in her presentation, that is something that we have actively done ourselves. We have 2 different series. One is called the Farm to Table series. Another is called the Kiki series, which we've launched in several state markets with partners. We've serviced more than 3,000 consumers. We've consolidated all of that feedback. And then the iteration that Gene had mentioned is something that actually previously did not exist in the market before we accomplished it. And that is the full plant, single strain, single barrel cannabis beverage. So previously you kind of took whatever was left over through the extraction companies, you put that through an nano-emulsion process, and that's what made it into beverages. Oftentimes that was just used to fortify the drinks. We actually can take individual strains now. We are working with Sonoma Hills Farm directly for their grows, and then we build the recipe and the formulation around those cannabinoids. And so you really get enhancement through some of the terpenes that we use, the euphoria and the body feel based on the individual strains.
Great. Thank you. Great answer.
That's actually really cool. I just wanted to chime in with that. Tahira?
What is the pricing, and how do you compare that to what's currently in the market? Obviously, seltzers are very popular. If you ever want to send me samples, I am also very willing to test.
Of course.
But I mean, I think it's a beautiful product, and I think that there's an increasing amount, particularly when you think of more luxury products and ones that you could see at home in your bar. But how does it compare from the price point, because of the price sensitivity that we're also seeing on like the per milligram basis, and even adjustment, I think, for, you know, brands like Can going to a higher dosage. How do you guys fit, or just compare yourselves across that?
So a very direct, simple answer. Individual units we are recommending selling for $7.95 in retail locations. We wholesale 4-pack, so we actually don't sell individual items. We sell them by the case. Our wholesale price for a 4-pack is $16. Essentially retail, that's anywhere from $32 to $35 that we recommend. That's within the price range of the consumer. We've used 2 different sets of databases. We've done extensive regression testing around our pricing model. This also includes the human-centered design feedback loop that I had mentioned a little bit earlier. So we're a little bit pricier than what you would see typically for like a Can or a Wonder, but we're also a very different market and a different type of consumer.
Yeah. And just is that translation, you're seeing that translation of consumer too, as you're looking at Massachusetts?
100%. Yep, absolutely. And then one thing that I just want to note, because you talked about price sensitivity, one of the really cool things about beverage that hasn't completely been leveraged yet, and that's where I'm talking about the full plant, and where we really come in and we're excited about the beverage industry, is we actually enhance current grows. So most of the plant that doesn't make it into the flour or the other ingestibles, we can actually take that, put it into a nano emulsion. And so we actually enhance the current grows in the product models of other companies downstream of the supply chain.
Cool. Thanks, Nathan.
You're welcome.
Brett, last one.
Yeah, like to hear when Scott, I will happily take samples. I think I spoke to someone from this company about a year ago. Talk about, like, you know, gifting and componentry as far as, you know, what's needed to go into the bottle, because I know it's not like just selling flour or other form factors, because there's always like different hands touching it. So I would like to hear about, you know, your co-packing arrangement in certain states and SKUs and milligrams.
So we are launching our products in California. So what I'm going to tell you is specific to the California marketplace. It also can be replicated in other markets because we are an asset-light company. So we currently do not hold licenses. We leverage the licenses based on our supply chain partners. We have a unique partnership in manufacturing where we are doing this in-house. We have been able to share resources, both resources on the line and the equipment necessary to produce, as well as lower the minimums, which is unique in California specifically. That has a lot to do with the capital needed upfront for things like reservation fees, securing line time, several months down the line. We're able to kind of skate all of that and reduce the manufacturing cost by 40%. We have 4 specific SKUs that we are leading with in the market for elevated seltzers. All of them are 3 milligrams of THC, 7 milligrams CBD, and they are enhanced by a proprietary blend of cannabis terpenes that are unique to each of those SKUs. One of the also unique things that we are bringing to the table is we are not just selling these as independent individual 4-packs of these SKUs. We actually have a seasonal variety pack that we launched. So we follow, based on our history and experience in the fashion industry, we follow the fashion calendar. So spring, summer, there's going to be a spring, summer variety pack where you'll be able to get all 3 of the staples that will be sold year round and in individual 4-packs, as well as a seasonal flavor. And then fall, winter, that seasonal flavor will change. And so there'll be a repetitive buying cycle for consumers to try something new, to really figure out which one of the SKUs you like the most and go out and buy that individual 4-pack.
One more follow-on. So what's the cost landed per bottle? Your cost.
My COGS. Okay, sorry. You're asking about the COGS. So our COGS per bottle right now clock in at just about $2.80. So we make about $1.40 per bottle starting out.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. Good job.
Okay.
Thanks, Nathan.
Cool.
Thank you for listening. Great questions.
Thank you so much, Nathan. Obviously, everybody at least wants samples, so we got that going for us.
Awesome.
And I assume in the state of Florida, there's only one season, so there's not much of a seasonal variety pack if you ever come here. We only have hot and hotter here.
We can work with that.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Nathan, thank you so much. Next is
You just went on mute.
Sorry, I lost my voice there for a second. Started coughing. Tanya from Yes, if you don't mind joining us in the full webinar. Bottom right-hand corner, it will say webinar. Well, let me go get her. All right, welcome, Tanya. You now have the ability to share your screen.
I do.
And I will give you the floor.
Awesome. Give me 1 second, guys. It says host has disabled participant screen sharing. Let's see if you can.
You're
So
good to
now
go.
I'm the co-host. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. All right. Let's see. All right, how you doing? Can you see it? I think you've got my screen. Let's see. So thank you all. I am Tanya Griffin, founder of Oh Yes. I have been in the cannabis industry since 2012. I founded, let's see here, let's get this to click, some legal stuff. I founded my growth management company, Water and Trees, in 2008, where I built and scaled healthcare companies in Chicago. This and my experience owning and operating small businesses for the last 33 years was a natural segue to winning and building out medical dispensaries near my hometown in Illinois. Those dispensaries flipped to rec and multiplied, and I eventually exited to an MSO. Early days when the playing field was very different than it is now, I partnered with the Green Solution, which is now Columbia Care. I wrote applications and won med licenses in Illinois and Florida, and I built the first vertically integrated national cannabis franchise. The old adage, do what you love and the rest will follow, has always worked for me. Then, as now, I understood that we were not just selling products, we were filling a need, adding value, of course, and delivering an experience. This time for me, it is all about more and better sex. So as you know, building a successful company is all about collaboration and the strength of your team. This is my team. You get to this place like we have with Oh Yes, because you have a team that is smart, experienced, and believes in what you are doing. We have that. Our target market is anyone who has and wants to have better sex. So Oh Yes is not alone, but the playing field is small. There are other cannabis-centric sex brands that have paved the way, like Foria, Quim, Vela, Blossom Organics, each solve issues women have with painful sex, menstrual cycles, and menopause, and they do it well. We believe that great sex starts with good communication, showing up, and staying present. So leaning into a decidedly sex, drugs, and rock and roll vibe, Oh Yes adds value with authentic content, mindfully sourced ingredients, and the Oh Yes sex quiz. So Oh Yes not only differentiates ourselves by our formulations, our secret sauce, but can deliver a cannagasm for under $25. Going down, Roll Baby Roll, Start Me Up, Love Me Too, and Groove Grease All of these products are all formulated with high potency CBD, CBG, terpenes, and our patented bee-fused honey that allows our happy free-range bees to feed on an organic hemp nectar, resulting in a super bioavailable, water-soluble bee-fused honey that can essentially uses nature to nano-emulsify full-spectrum cannabinoids. So finally, our Oh Yes Sex Quiz, which allows individuals and partners to take a free online sex quiz that gives you your kink score and opens communication between partners about which sex acts you want to do together. So this was not easy to build, but the end result is a guerrilla marketing tool that adds value to the customer while grabbing subscribers. This allows us to remarket to the OES community and capture data that can be used with influencers, retailers, PR, and our strategic partners. So where we meet the customer, we currently meet our customers directly online and wholesale through sex and lingerie shops, boutique retail, Colorado dispensaries, and through our travel partners offering a Sexperience O-Box retailing as low as $69 alongside the mini bar. So funding to date, I have no debt, and Oh Yes is 100% self-funded. We have 8 products in the warehouse, not including our upcycle bicycle tubing handcuffs. I've built a solid sales funnel for direct sales and wholesale for our non-THC line. I have a multifaceted approach to scaling Oh Yes relative to funding that includes debt financing for the next round of COGS and a seed round up to $1 million based on a $5 million valuation. So my goal in this round, this seed round, is to bring like-minded investors, and I of course love mills, right, onto my cap table. So understanding that Oh Yes THC infused line is organized and structured very differently than Oh Yes Inc. We are talking and looking for ideal strategic partners that we can leverage manufacturing, distribution, and back office support while complementing with Oh Yes cross marketing, reach to women, and a sex forward community that digs the brand. Okay, my time is up, so I am ready for questions.
Thank you so much. What everybody we're going to share with you now, the judges took the quiz, so we're going to share the results with you. No,
well, that's awesome because it's anonymous when I see it. So that's great. You're all happy to hear that.
If you don't mind to stop sharing your screen so we get the judges back up here.
Let's see here.
To hear it, we'll let you lead off.
Yes.
Hi, Tanya. Good to see you.
Love, how you doing? Did I stop sharing? Sorry, guys, you're getting an old grandma here. Did I stop sharing my screen?
Not yet.
Okay, great.
Sorry.
How about that? Good?
It's still up there, but that's okay.
Okay, I'll fix that in a second.
Tanya, I wanted to just talk a little bit, you went through the various products, just price points and where you're seeing as far as like your demographic concentration and how you see that expanding over time. And also just thinking about, your average margin and some of the costs associated with distribution, where you're seeing kind of the traction there and the most opportunity for growth.
Yeah, no, I thank you. It's a question. So when I looked at this market, obviously I had to look at.
Do you mind turning your video back on? It was accidentally turned off. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem, guys. I got you. I think I stopped sharing my.
You're good. You're good.
Am I good now? Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
So back to the point of price point. Price point was critical to me to keep that MSRP. Whether I'm meeting that customer in a sex shop or in dispensary at that, $23.99 range. So for example, on the lubes, whether it was Unplugged, Going Down, Roll Baby Roll, or Start Me Up, it's 15 mil. I jacked up the cannabinoids, but consistently kept the price range under $25. We're currently at small batch. So the first round that I did was, a couple of the things I went up to 7,500 units, but for the most part, I did 5,000, units. My price point, as significantly drops when I hit over 10,000 MOQs. My cost direct to consumer, I'm at about $6 a unit, so about a third of the cost. When I hit the wholesale market, that changes, but I can easily allow the retailers to keystone. And we've picked up, I've not gone over 5 stores in any of my sex stores, for example, or my high-end women's boutiques, where that's intentional. Obviously, we are not ready for Adam and Eve or Romantics or any of those guys, but I can easily meet keystone with, really good margins, even at that small batch quantity. Tara, give me the last part of your question, love. I know a price point was a big.
You answered most of it. Don't
Okay.
Yeah, you got a lot of it in there. I guess just one follow on from there is where you're seeing most of your activity. Like, is it e-commerce? Is it brick and mortar dispensary versus non? Just curious, what's the leading right now?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I put a lot of my efforts recently. I just hired on a great director of sales. Pulled her out of Maggie's farm. She was building out retail, and she's now building out locally kind of our sales thing. So we're getting a lot of pretty low-hanging fruit interest out of our sex stores. Having said that, the sex quiz, we just really got it fully out of beta into 1.0, and we're now building out the 2.0 version. But I'm grabbing about, we get as many as 60 subscribers a day on that sex quiz. And I haven't even converted those into remarketing yet, because we're just taking a very crawl, walk, run approach, to how we build the message, how we blog, how we build authentic content. So I would say there's a pretty 50-50 right now in what we're getting through our retailers, our wholesale accounts, and direct to consumer. And of course, my margins are significantly better direct to consumer. The other little path, and you guys are all probably thinking she's doing too much, but I've dedicated different people to do each of these things. I was able to open up the hotel market partly because I'm the oldest of 10 kids, and my siblings are in certain industries that I can leverage. One of my little brothers runs a $2.5 billion portfolio of boutique hotels. So we were able to push through that lane, build the story, get into these, higher end hotels starting in Sonoma and out in California, and really test the market. But, if we're in a Las Vegas hotel, my $69 price point, which I can easily handle. So I can wholesale my Sexperience O-Box into a boutique hotel or an Airbnb for $35. You get 5 products. So you get Unplugged, which just is a straight up silicone lube. You get Going Down, which is the oral sex elixir. Start Me Up, which is our lickable water-based lube. I give you our dry mouth lozenges, which are medicated with sorbitol, not cannabinoids, a couple of condoms, and a QR code generated for the sex quiz, $69, $369 in Las Vegas. And I've built a relationship with the consumer. So because I am just now out of the gates, we're really just got all 8 products in the warehouse. We're still pushing at each of these paths to test the market. But I would say, Tara, wholesale was definitely outstretching direct to consumer, but that pendulum is changing because of the sex quiz.
Thanks, Tanya.
Yeah.
Right. Finkelstein.
Thanks, Tanya. How important is, the story is wide because, you rattled off a lot of products. Obviously, the visuals have to go with the products. So you rattled off a lot of products. When you pitching or going after these, give me the top tier as far as channels you're going after, like on the non-cannabis brand, because obviously cannabis is always going into dispensaries. So give me the top channels. Is it,
yes, good question.
mass tea, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I think what you're asking so the low-hanging fruit that I'm finding very easy to penetrate, no pun intended, are the sex shops, particularly female-owned independent sex shops across the country. So we're here in Denver, we're going in Miami, LA, Chicago, St. Louis. That is a really good way for me, the consumer. The other place that is, wants to carry our product because we speak well to women is higher end women's boutiques. And these tend to be independently owned so that my salespeople can easily build the relationship. And I don't get a lot of gatekeepers. We're not going over, 5 stores right now. So we're finding it relatively easy to develop and maintain that relationship. Now, when it comes to direct to consumer, that's managed by my back of the house team. And that again is accelerated by the sex quiz. But the other way we've been learning what the consumer wants and how to react and how to package these 8 products that all are married to each other, by the way, is, I bought a 1969 Globetrotter Airstream, 21 feet. I, renovated it. So we're now, in the summer where we do pop-ups, we show up at festivals, and I got these beautiful girls in go-go boots and mini skirts, and that converts very well when we get out into the public and talk about sex. And of course, I believe that I think what Allison and Her Highness is doing and what Quim is doing, what all these companies is doing is very important. I want to support them and do more of that. They took a lane which was really about solving issues we women have with around menstrual cycles and sex and all of these issues. That is not my lane. I am about having better sex. I'm single-minded about that. I was recently asked to host a radio show, which we're in negotiations with, around sex and cannabis. If that goes through, we'll have, sort of instant exposure. It looks like it's going through. We're haggling out some points right now, but if I end up doing that, that message would be bringing on the owners of Quim and Foria and opening up the playing field, because in my opinion, we don't need less of these brands. We need more to get the message out. That's how I think anyway.
Just one more, give me lifetime sales from inception to date.
Yeah, so we're at about, 30 grand having launched really into the play. I think it's actually 35, 40. We just got another big sale today. And that is after about 2 months of really being in the market.
Okay, thanks.
Tanya, hello. As
Hey.
you know, we have met a couple times, and I saw you pitch from the stage last week at MJ Unpacked.
Yeah, I threw in the towel there. I said,
Yes.
I'm going live.
Yes, you did. You threw in a lot of stuff there. But you did better tonight because you really stayed focused on the business stuff. But that would be one pearl of wisdom I offer you. In your answers tonight to the questions, you did very well by suggesting how you're executing and your go-to-market. But I encourage you to build that back into the pitch earlier instead of telling us so bloody much about the products. Sure, that's fun and zany, but we're serious investors. And so we want to hear how you're going to execute really more. Now, let me work up. This is my biggest hot button. Look, I would get a low kink score for sure when I take the test. I'm boring.
You never know.
But I have tried every one of these products. And I then realized that I am not going to put these products in a sacred place unless they're tested, some rabbi blesses them or something. You haven't even mentioned that. Talk to us about safety. I now do not believe in using them because they could be unsafe. How do I know?
Couldn't ask a better question, Jean, at all. So I am spending some money on that. I have had everything has been tested all up and down, as you know, just through our traditional cannabis lab testing. So pesticides, microbials, potency, all of those tests. I have recently partnered with Golan Vaknin, who is ESEV Labs. We are now, my other, little company is this bee-fused honey. So we're testing bioavailability. We're testing lactobacillus right now in terms of vaginal health. So I'm committing around $35,000 right off the gates to paying a lot of attention to vaginal health, how we're testing. I've gone, Dr. Godin, I think it is. I'm working with them right now, really just looking at yeast and vaginal health on that particular test. All of those are going up on our website. They're there now, but I need to make them more visible. And we certainly work with our retailers on that in our training. But you're right, testing is critical and we're deep in it for sure.
Thank you.
I was really hoping it was blessed by a rabbi, but
I know, right? Well, if you know one, send them my way, my
we'll
friend.
do. Scott, last one.
I'm all in.
So thank you, Tanya. A couple things. First of all, the product names are really good. I like your sex quiz acquisition strategy. It's a really good way to reel in people, and I think you could scale that. My question is around the competition. You had a slide on it, which is good, but like you're competing with a lot of other sex products. Oh, did we lose her?
No, I'm still.
Oh, there you are. Sorry.
Yeah.
You switched up. Something switched on me. I was looking at you, but anyway, so you're competing with other products that are not related to cannabis in any way. So how do you convince people to just switch off of, like, I like the sex shop idea as well, but like, how do you break through that competition there with things that aren't related to cannabinoids?
Because I have, my silicone lube, I white label that with Trig Labs. It's 510K certified. That's super important to me. So I do reach that consumer with at least 3 different products that the sex stores have really been very excited about, particularly the dry mouth lozenges, which is important to oral sex and if you're smoking a joint. And then we have a silicone lube that's the exact same. I white label it. It's basically Uber Lube. It's made by Wet, which is Trig Labs. And it ties in that sex, drugs, and rock and roll vibe. So the consumer has this choice of using CBD, CBG, and eventually when we go into Colorado and Illinois, I just won some licenses in Illinois, a craft grow and 2 dispensaries, which are hung up right now. So our next path will be meeting the customer with that true vagina high in Illinois. But I agree with you, not having building space for people who are not interested in using cannabinoids or coming out of AA is never where I want it to be. So I have products for that.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I really like is the box for the hotels, especially Las Vegas, but there's a lot of, so is there like a revenue split with the hotel, or how does
they
that
get to keystone it. I mean, the way I structured it so far is my cost into them is $35. They can sell it for as little as $69, but I don't put a barrier on that. So on our website, our travel partners have access to a whole part of the website you guys unfortunately cannot see. And that goes over the training protocols, how we do it, how we go in the mini bar. It's a box and it has a QR code, so they instantly get to see what's inside. They may break the tamper seal just to get to the condoms, but they get to take the sex quiz. And then, we give them a lot of added value. When I've built companies for, many years, and I had retail stores I started in 1995 that are still there. And they're still there because you've got to create an experience and add value to the customer and keep certainly now as we head into this recession or whatever we're heading into, price point to me is critical. So in my opinion, that's why nothing is over 15 mils. I don't have 30, 60 mil SKUs. That kept my cost down. It let me have 8 products that I could join together and create a particular experience, for example, for travel partners. So that was my reasoning for that.
Very
cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Tanya, thank you so much. I'm going to kick you out and throw you back to the green room.
Thank you.
Appreciate. Let's see. Move to backstage. See you later. Elijah, please join us. Elijah from Delta Leaf, bottom right-hand corner webinar. All right. Welcome to the party. You should be able to share your screen. You are a co-host, and the floor is yours, my friend.
Perfect. Thank you. Let me find the correct screen here. Perfect. Can everyone see that? Yes. Okay. Perfect.
Yep, you're good to go.
Thank you. All right. So yeah, hi everyone. My name is Elijah. I'm CEO and Science Director of Delta Leaf Laboratories. We are based in Santa Barbara, California. And our mission is to democratize genetic tools, access to genetic tools for cannabis and hemp. So what does that mean? Well, Let me start with the story of cannabis ag tech. So we all know in 1996 is when California legalized cannabis for medical use. And at that point, cannabis research really took off in the academic space. And now about 20, 30 years later, a lot of that research is making its way to the commercial market. And in terms of cannabis genetic technologies, there is really a complete blue ocean. There's so many opportunities, both for low-hanging fruit and to develop new technologies that can be applied across the cannabis industry. And so we compare ourselves to the traditional testing market because even though we're focused on genetics and genomics only, because that does provide us the best estimate of the testing need across the industry right now. And so I'll get into a little bit about what we offer specifically in the genetics and genomics space. But right now, the testing market is estimated around $3 billion and expected to grow to around $11.5 billion by 2027. So we started bootstrapped in my house. There was a laboratory and a converted bedroom a couple of years ago in 2017. In our first year, we did about 12,000, grew about 5x the following year, about 3.5 following. And last year we hit the magic number of $420,000 in trailing revenue for the year. And so these are some of our core metrics. We can definitely improve a lot of this at scale. Again, we've been very limited by cash flow and capital, just getting things up and running, but really focusing on developing product market fit for our different tests. And so our newest service that we're offering that we've developed in-house is we're calling Strain Fingerprint. This is a ancestry and lineage test for cannabis to identify what you have. I think this solves the biggest question in the cannabis industry is how do you know what you have? Whether you're a grower who's getting clones and plants and seeds from another grower or from a nursery, whether you are a product manufacturer, whether you're a consumer, whether you're a regulator, everybody needs to know what they have and nobody knows. So there have been a few attempts to solve this problem, but we think we've really solved it through a rapid and low cost solution. And so Strain Fingerprint is really an entry point to a downstream ecosystem. So the genetic test is just the key to unlock the prediction of phenotypes, and the ability to monetize their data and do additional things with their data. So this is what Strain Fingerprint looks like, just the raw chromatograph that we get from the lab. And it simplifies the problem of determining the ancestry of a plant from a large multiple gigabyte genomic sequencing file to a single row of data in a spreadsheet. And so that's what we're showing at the top. It's just 26 values that determine, that can be basically used combinatorially to determine the individualization of a sample. Right now, we're out to about 1 in 55 billion. So this is the same technology that's used at crime scenes to identify an individual back to DNA collected from a crime scene. So we're applying that technology to cannabis to identify the lineage and the relationship between individual plants. This can be useful for IP, breeding, and all sorts of applications, supply chain verification. So compared to DNA sequencing, we're solving the same main problems for breeding and strain identification, but we can do it quickly, we can do it for low cost, and that really allows us to solve that problem of supply chain verification where people need an answer quickly. They don't want to wait months and pay several $100s for a result. They need an answer now. We can do this within under a week or two, versus sequencing takes over 2 months. And we can do it for under $100 where sequencing costs several $100s per sample. So we really are focused on solving that problem of a simple, easy to understand answer that can be generated quickly. And so our customers are able to, we actually are developing a phenotype database where these markers that we're analyzing from the genetic side can be correlated with phenotypes and traits about the plant. So this can be useful for predictive breeding and a variety of additional more focused breeding techniques to get a particular therapy and particular application of cannabis that people are looking for, right? If you're looking for a particular variety of cannabis that's useful for, say, Zex, then that could be bred for in a more targeted manner. We're currently building an app in-house to basically allow our customers to access their results more easily, to allow us to scale using QR codes on our kits, which also allows us to basically create a physical network effect of QR codes being printed on products throughout the entire industry. So every step through the supply chain where people are needing to verify the authenticity of the products that they're getting, the original source. This is especially important for international business. When identifying the source of a product, it's extremely important to get it to market. We can provide that service. And so they can print a QR code on their product, which then leads the consumer, the regulator, whoever is scanning that QR code back to our app. And then that's another potential customer for us. And there's a huge concern about data privacy in the cannabis industry. So we spawn off a nonprofit for our customers to monetize their data, and we actually will act as custodians and enable them to monetize it very, very easily from using a checkbox within our app. So this creates a regenerative value flow between us, the consumer, and the DAO, and an overall total user experience wherein we have a full diagnostic toolkit And we want to be the one-stop shop for anyone looking for genomic services, genetic services in the cannabis industry, whether that's testing, follow-up analysis, products, and additional custom services. So my co-founder has over 15 years in startup industry in Silicon Valley, and our chief of sales, Michael Boyle, just graduated last week from University of Maryland with his MS in cannabis medical cannabis and science. So our customers love us. We've been around testing since 2018, and 5-star reviews all over the internet. And feel free to contact me. Again, my name is Elijah. Thank you.
Your chief of sales is a really cool beard.
Right.
Elijah, thank you so much. Scott, I'll let you lead off this round of questioning.
Thank you, Elijah. And he's a Maryland grad, which I like too. Tell me more about your customer base. Who's the ideal customer? How much do they pay? How many customers do you need to really scale the business?
Yeah, so we've been mostly focused on direct to consumer for our early years, focused almost exclusively on inbound marketing for the first 2 years. Michael just joined the team a little bit over a year ago, and he's got a background. He's actually a former B2B sales manager for Green Flower Media. And so on top of being over a 12-year grower and breeder, who really represents our target customer segment, which was the cultivator early on, using these genetic tests to identify predictive markers for breeding more focused individual tests like sex testing, cannabinoid dominance prediction, things like that, microbial testing. But now that we're moving into more focused things like wider applications like Fingerprint, that's really where we're going with that. The targeting more B2B applications, the bigger,
Yeah, I think the technology is really cool with these things. My question is, will the average cannabis consumer be interested, or will it be like a super user or a kind of curious? Like, who's going to really latch on and do this?
Yeah, we really have targeted and focused on growers and breeders early on, because that was where most of our early testing was focused. But ultimately, as we've got a lot of interest from a lot of our growers are consumers as well, right? They're small home growers, and so they're interested in verifying the products that they're getting as well. So there really is a complete broad application from the producer all the way down to the consumer throughout the entire supply chain.
Thank you.
Tahira?
Where do you see a lot of the just points, I think, of competition? Obviously, there are ranges in testing, and I think, especially on the genetic side, where do you see your competitive set, and how do you differentiate yourself from that?
Yeah, so I've personally developed all of our assays in-house, so we're not using off-the-shelf kits like a lot of the other competitors are. And so that really allows us to bring our costs down both. And so we really think of ourselves as a biotech research company that offers our products as services, right? And so by doing all this research in-house, we really have a big competitive advantage against any other lab that's out there that's using off-the-shelf kits from, say, somebody like Maison Genomics.
Got it. Understood. Thank you so much.
I'll go. So Elijah, thank you. Keying off of some of Scott's questions about your perfect prospect customer. You know what I love in a pitch? A real use case. Now you wove in some examples as you went on, but give us your real use case. You were clear about a lot of this testing. Let's say use case today, and what's the use case look like a year from today, so we can really get comfort you can scale.
Yeah, definitely. The biggest interest and the strongest interest, again, is from our core customers, the growers, the cultivators, and their primary interest actually in using this is for IP, for supporting their IP claims for plant patents. And so even though a genomic sequence, genomic data can't form the basis of a patent, it can form strong supporting data and be included with that. And so all these growers want to use this as Fingerprint as their stamp, their marker to identify what they have, right? And so that's really their goal.
And just a quick follow-up on that. So what do? Just paint alcohol on the product and mail it to you, or how does it get to you?
Great question. Fantastic question. Thank you. So actually all of our DNA collection kits, we are the only genetic testing lab, basically that can do microbial testing across state lines. All of our collection kits collect DNA on site. So we mail, it's just like Ancestry.com. We create a kit, we send it to the user. They collect a sample on site, which is very simple. For most of our tests, it takes a couple seconds. As has been described as an elementary science experiment. They send it back to us. It's 100% legal to mail. We've got it tested by third-party labs, contains 0 cannabinoids, doesn't even meet the legal definition of cannabis, so we can work internationally.
Got it. Yeah. Thank you.
Brett?
Yep, thanks, Elijah. You're leading on everyone else's questions, mostly, Scott and what Gene just hit on. You mentioned that the customer is the direct-to-consumer is the consumer, And then you kind of alluded to that it's the cultivator as well. So I'm kind of like a little confused on who's sending you these sample kits. Is it the consumer? Is it Brett that's sending, or is it the cultivator?
Great question. So our consumers have been cultivators traditionally. So most of our testing that we've done past couple of years, the earlier stuff that we did was things like sex testing. So it was identifying the sex of a seedling at a very young stage. So the consumer is the cultivator, right? And that's who we sell most of our testing to and where our core customers are. And now with Fingerprint, we're able to expand out into additional segments.
And is it testing the plant material or the seeds or clones or?
The plant material, well, so they would take a sample from the plant. So the way most of our kits work, they take a little sample from the leaf, they crush it onto a sample collection card, and they mail the card back to us. For things like edibles and extracts, we have a solution that we send them, a bacterial growth solution. They put the product in that, for a particular incubation period, and then perform a very simple, it takes about 15 minutes DNA extraction process to get purified DNA sample to send back to us.
And you're doing this on what kind of what kind of machines are you using for these? And do you have what's the licensing that you need to do this kind of stuff? DEA, if you're getting this stuff over state lines?
No, again, we don't touch cannabis plant material, so we only receive DNA. We don't require any sort of regulatory oversight for that. I've had extensive discussions with BCC and delivered the Bureau for Cannabis Control here in California, extensive documentation. We absolutely do not require any regulation to touch the DNA of the plant. And so that's sort of our half into that. I'm sorry, what was the first part of the question?
Last question. No, and do you know anyone in the market that is doing this? I know you mentioned CRISPR. Is the medical genomics guys or Strain Sprint or any of those guys kind of leaning into this as well?
We're similar to the medicinal genomics in that we are developing our own technology in-house. However, we do market to other labs as well, but we also have the lab where we provide services directly to the cultivators, directly to the person looking for the testing. Medicinal genomics primarily provides reagents and kits to other laboratories, versus we produce and create our own and then provide that as a service as well.
I don't know if you hit on capital raise. I mean, you said that you will be self-sufficient on $420,000, but you want to hit on that for a second?
Yes, absolutely. And so because we are developing all these new techs, we have been quite tight on cash flow, both promoting our core business and developing and investing in new research, right? And so that's why we're raising capital, so we can really focus on doing everything we're doing well and then doing it at scale and really step up the gas on the products that we found really good fit for. Okay, thanks. Oh, and we're raising $1 million convertible note with $10 million cap. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, Elijah, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck, and we will kick you back into the green room right now. For our next presenter, please welcome Laura from the Calm, Cool, and Collected. Laura, if you want to jump into the main webinar right now, bottom right-hand corner. That's what happens when you use new technology on a webcast. There we go. I see your screen, but I don't know if I hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, we got you. Good to go.
Great. Hi, my name is Laura Geffman. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and the founder and executive director of the Calm, Cool, and Collected, a nonprofit organization supporting the discovery and dissemination of emerging science to safely and responsibly manage mental health with cannabis as medicine. We're in crisis and have a tremendous need for mental health care. At 60%, the majority of medical patients seek out cannabis to manage their anxiety, insomnia, pain, and depression, all of which are mental health or related diagnoses. However, there isn't any training offered to mental health professionals who continually pathologize cannabis use, endangering patients by putting them at harm putting them at risk for adverse effects, including addiction, psychosis, and suicide. The Calm, Cool, and Collected is the only source solely focused on the use of cannabis for those affected by mental illness. As a nonprofit, our approach is unbiased, which enables us to work across both cannabis and mental health industries to remove associated stigma, drive awareness of science-based information, and ensure funding for empirical research to effectively manage the continuum of care. Seeing as we're all in cannabis, we know this industry is projected to reach $38 billion in the next 5 years. But would it surprise you to know that the mental health industry is projected to be valued at almost 3 times more, $100 billion in the next 5 years? Bridging the gap between these two growing markets by aiding education and readiness for cannabis legalization offers supporters the ability to boost their brand image while reforming mental health care, promoting public health, social justice, diversity, and inclusion. We have the opportunity to make a major impact, and we've already started. From the ground up, the Calm, Cool, and Collected has elevated a message that resonates with millions of people. Our growing community is made up of medical and mental health professionals, patients, caregivers, advocates, the canna curious, and everyone in between. The power in these numbers speaks for themselves. The community that we have cultivated recognizes the need for change and continues to follow along. While our mental health focus differentiates our efforts, our intention is actually to be more collaborative than competitive. We're already working with the mental health governing bodies to ensure continuing education credit for professionals, which we hope will allow opportunities like educating social workers in the penal system to advocate with the Last Prisoner Project. We intend to leverage our community for knowledge discovery to drive innovation, and we know the possibility for cause marketing partnerships are endless. With millions of patients already using cannabis, a shortage of mental health providers, a lack of access to care, an escalating need for interventions, and an obvious need for alternatives, our efforts stand to impact 27.5 million patients and providers between the cannabis and mental health markets. In order to inform professionals, empower patients, and elevate brands, our nonprofit business model is based on memberships, donations, sponsorships, and grants. To promote the growth of our business, our plan includes annual fundraising events, conferences, a digital library, podcast, and more. Social responsibility is an important aspect of all corporate cannabis businesses, especially when it comes to maximizing shareholder value. Therefore, we are in need of partners to raise $770,000 for everything you see broken out here. This gift would allow for the support of a female and minority-led organization, engaging in corporate responsibility, and know this, it costs cannabis companies more not to partner with the Calm, Cool, and Collected than to receive a tax deduction for having done so. The world has just turned a spotlight on mental health. It's time cannabis did too. Pledge your support of the Calm, Cool, and Collected now.
Very cool. Thank you so much. Let's see you turn your video on.
Hi.
Jean, we'll let you lead this one
I'll lead
off.
off. Laura, I've been on many not-for-profits. I can tell you're a seasoned professional for a not-for-profit, but have you been able to think through a for-profit piece of your business that could help drive revenues?
We have looked at that. And in fact, I have been in flux in the industry for about 7 years, trying to figure out how best to approach this from the start. Interestingly enough, I think that to open doors in the mental health space, I have to be nonprofit first. It's going to allow for me to really be able to speak to this industry in a way that that industry can hear it. But there certainly are very many opportunities for profit after that.
So one follow-up. You haven't mentioned the psilocybin world at all, which is, there's already been proven clinical studies and research that it absolutely can create great wellness and health benefits. So what about that? Is that an area you would focus on? Because that could be an area that could really help promote what you're doing.
I absolutely agree with you. And at the same time, when psilocybin hit the headlines, I watched everybody pivot to that. And yet we still haven't figured out how cannabis is affecting this community. So I certainly definitely want to get to psilocybin and include that, but that will take more time, money, staff, what have you. I think that this is our focus for now, and certainly psilocybin can factor into our efforts as we grow.
Thank you.
Sure.
Scott.
Thank you, Laura. Very cool idea. I think that this industry needs a really strong nonprofit that focuses on education and all the amazing things that cannabis can do. And that'll lead to more consumers. My concern is along with Jean's lines of like, if we invest, you know, how do we get return someday? And, you know, how long might that take?
So I'm actually not really asking for investors tonight. My ask is more for introductions to corporate partners, so that we can raise money and eventually get to the point where we can have a for-profit entity as well. As I mentioned, I think that the mental health market itself is pretty close-minded to this in some ways. And in reaching out over the past 7 years, I've been very surprised about the responses that I've gotten from the people that I've gotten them from. Trying to be unbiased between the two markets is a really hard line to walk. But essentially, I'd love to be introduced to folks who might be interested in donating and getting a tax deduction and supporting a cause, at least for right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. And I think a lot of the events that are going on, you should, you know, if you're there, you know, we can certainly introduce you in person to a lot of people. Be a great way to get donations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Brett.
Yeah, well done. I think, you know, for all of us on the panel, Todd and everyone probably listening, is really into furthering this industry in a non-exploitive, responsible way and doing what we can to move the ball forward. And I think it's, you know, really well done. You know, I don't have any questions. I think, you know, the comment is that we could help, and we all probably do back in our certain ways, and love to do what we can to support you and your cause.
That's great. Thank you.
Tahira?
Just questions about the team structure right now in the projections that you laid out for where cash would be utilized for staff. What does the team look like today, and what do you hope to grow into?
So the team right now is built on the backs of volunteers and interns. For the past 4 years, honestly, this started as a passion project, a blog that I just started writing. And from there, I found different people all across the world with every different licensure and certificate that you could imagine, every different background that came my way. And some of them have stuck around and continued to donate their time and hard work. And so I've had a team as big as 20 people sometimes, and other times 3 of us. Currently, we're a team of 5 who spend most of our time doing this. And depending upon what our need is, there are definitely people that come and go. We have commitment from 4 people for a board, and it's a matter of building out once we have the money.
Thank you.
Sure.
Laura, thank you so much. I fully agree with you. I think that cannabis is a great tool to focus on your mental health, and I need your help to win some arguments with my wife, who is a psychologist as well too. So I'm going to ask you to head back to the green room if you don't mind. We're going to leave all of our judges up here for a second. Judges, if you have any comments, anything that you would like to share with our audience before you make your selections. I know typically on a TV show we would let you deliberate in private, but there's way too hard to kick you guys all into the green room and then back again. So any final thoughts from any of our judges before I ask you to make a decision? I'm going to go in order on my screen. So Scott, you're first.
I just want to say, I think everybody was well prepared. I think the decks were good, and clearly they were, you know, ready for this moment. There's always improvements that can be made, But I commend everybody for their efforts tonight. It was really enjoyable.
Brett.
Yeah, I agree with Scott. I think, we love to see innovation. We love to see entrepreneurs. We love to help and lean into this business. I think it's important that we kind of all collectively probably have seen, with thousands of transactions, and gives them a good point, because, we don't like to hear like a founder could say like no one is doing it or there's no competition. I think that we could raise our hand and say, well, there is, and maybe there's things that we might think of. These guys focus on running business and building their business, and we could look at it, a lot more wider and see the, forest through the trees, and might think of something that they're not thinking of, and it might not be capital raising, it might be alliances or M&A or something that we could do down the road to further their business along.
Gene?
So I love listening to companies pitch and meet with companies all the time. And one rookie mistake that happens consistently is that people are way hung up on the product, the feeds and speeds, the product formulation, instead of the business of the business. And notice in the answers, certainly a lot of that came out, but that needs to be packed in early, as I suggested in some of my earlier comments. So that's one of my best pearls of wisdom. And then, we had to draw out what some of the revenue opportunities were. So tell us, hey, how big can this get and when can it get there? And the kind of capital needs. And somebody said, I won't out this person, but said, and this is the last raise we'll probably need. Never say that to an investor, because we want you to scale and maybe do international work or grow, or maybe go into ancillary other adjacent markets. So the best thing to say on that is, in a year, we'll decide together what our capital needs look like. Just a few comments.
Thank you, Gene. Tahira?
Just echoing my fellow panelists, but also just, I was really impressed to see the range of the pitches. I think that just seeing that diversity, and I think that speaks to the industry as well. Like, there's so many different avenues to pursue. And so appreciate you guys putting together such a thoughtful group of businesses for us to review. I think everybody did an exceptional job, and just kind of echoing some of Gene's comments on thinking about ways, we've all done this a ton of times where we've had to pitch 1,000 things, and there are always ways to improve. And just thinking about, in the dialogue that we've heard tonight, in questions that are asked of other businesses, maybe not yours, how to incorporate some of that feedback on pulling in, hit those points up front. So, there are less questions about the structure of the business itself and the ultimate growth and success of it. And yeah, wish you all the best of luck. I think everybody has done an amazing job, and I'm excited for the ones that are more in the consumer market space. I'm excited to try all your products.
All right. Well, judges, I will ask you to take a second and think about who your top two are. The top two companies will be pitching either in person or virtually at the CannabisLAB conference next week. I'm going to ask all of our presenters if you can come out of the green room into the main webinar. Eunice, if you can turn your video on as well. I'd love you guys to join the stage with us as we make this announcement. Folks, if you know anything about me or this group, like, we're all about the advancement of this industry, and I'm so happy to be a part of this competition. I think every single one of these companies did an amazing job today, and I'm so glad to be in an ecosystem or an industry that has so many passionate people that just want to work together for a common good. And I think we're all passionate about this plan and what it can do for our society and for us personally. And it is an honor to be here with both the pitches and the judges as well too. So I just want a big thank you to everybody, and I hope you continue to be part of the CannabisLAB community. Another shout out to Gene, who's like ready for Shark Tank already. You can tell that you've done this before. Like, I hear a little, little Barbara Corcoran, a little Mr. Wonderful in your voice there. It's incredible. So thank you for joining us as well. Folks, this is it. As much as I would love to make sure everybody win, we're not that type of organization. We have winners. So I will start with the man who helped me organize this, because I want to put the pressure on him, Brett Finkelstein. Let's hear who your top, actually, wait a second. Judges, we have a chat going in the background. Everybody vote real quick on your top two, because this is a collective vote. It's not individual. Didn't
do you
think
say?
that one through.
What are you saying?
So we have Gene,
Text.
we have the group text chat. If you guys can just vote in that real quick, and to
Okay.
kill and
The
presenters.
one that says host and panelists?
No, on your phone.
On the phone.
Oh, phone.
Yeah,
Where,
yeah, yeah.
what am I missing here?
So while the judges decide the winners here, let's go to the pitches. Anything that you guys thought was something that you really picked up, or advice, or anything that you enjoyed about this. Eunice, we'll go with you first.
I see. So you want to
Learned so much actually from not only my pitch and feedback but from everyone. I'd say, you know, the numbers and the projections are there, but bringing it to the forefront during the pitch is going to be really helpful. So I'm ready to do that.
Elijah?
Yeah, I learned a lot about, I think delivering the first couple pitches, I think were super, super clean. I know that I talk fast. I'm from New York. I'm a scientist. I can be all over the place. So yeah, I think I learned a lot from the other pitches as well in terms of just presentation. So I think accommodations, I'm really glad to share the stage with you all, and would love to collab as well afterwards. So yeah, thank you.
Peter?
I mean, this feels like a resounding reflection of just the reasons I love the cannabis industry. Like I'm a passionate consumer. I love just seeing innovation in this space. And I feel like right now I'm immersed in all the best parts of the industry and love seeing what everyone's working on. Everyone has awesome ideas, and just honored to be here with all of you guys.
And Laura?
I learned everything. This was my first time pitching. So I learned that I will not pass out if I do this. So that was fun for me. Thank you for having me.
And then Tanya, our last one before we go to the judge's decision here.
Yes, thank you, everyone. I'm also new at the roadshow. Jean, thank you for that advice, by the way. And nice to meet you all. So thank you.
All right. It looks like the judges have made their decision. I'm going to say it's the one above where Brett was saying, correct? Okay. Well, thank you everybody for your participation tonight. I wish I had a really cool way to unveil this, but our technology is limited to what we have here. I want to congratulate the top two companies, Yes and Maison Bloom. I know that Nathan couldn't be here tonight. He had to go pick up his kids, so he had to drop. A huge thank you to our other companies. You guys crushed it. I think that everybody did a good job. I will tell you that looking at the judges chat, the reason why I said the ones above Brett is because there was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of switching there, and everyone said that there was a lot of ties. So everybody did a great job. Again, I would love to continue to have you guys as part of the Cannabis Lab community. We'd love to see you on panels and at events in the future. We will stay in touch with you, and welcome to our community. With that being said, let's give everybody a round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you to our judges. Thank you to our pitchers. Stay tuned next week. Yes, and Maison Bloom, I will reach out to you separately. But
I know you mentioned stuff that, we were talking about, what we, some consulting work and how we could help the two finalists and also the other companies. So I think maybe a follow-up email between the four of us, so you talk five of us, and then we'll go back to them of kind of what we could help with. I know Gene offered some services as well.
I'll make sure that everybody's connected after this. Thank you to our audience. Thank you to everybody on LinkedIn. Thank you to everybody on Facebook. Thank you to everybody in the Cannabis Lab groups. Again, folks, you did an amazing job. And tune in next week, Friday the 3rd and 4th. You'll see a ton of stuff on our LinkedIn and our Facebook for the Cannabis Lab conference, and see who wins this. And then come around. We're going to do this again in December. So you guys are welcome to come back, pitch again, and we will do it even better. Everybody have an amazing night, and we'll see you at the conference.
Thanks, Todd.